In this session, we're going to look at the data that's available on the Decred blockchain. Now, in the last session, we looked at the block explorer. Now we're going to delve into the charts. It's really important if you're going to invest in any of these kind of projects, these open ledger projects like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Decred, whichever one. It's really important that you get familiar with the actual blockchain, you get familiar with the data. Don't trust anyone in this space. You need to understand how the data works. You need to inform yourself on whether the chain is healthy. It's also a really good point of call to actually keep coming back to the data to make sure that you keep checking that everything's working as would be expected. So that's what we're going to do today. We're just going to look at some of the data that's available and just show you how to read a bit of it so you can make up your own mind on whether you think the Decred blockchain is healthy and sustainable. So let's get on with it.
I don't know a lot about the Decred.
Kidding about printing, flooding the system with money.
Yes, exactly.
And there's no end to your ability to do that.
We will do whatever we need to do to make sure that there's enough cash in the bank.
I wish I was more educated on Decred. Decred. He is bullish on Decred.
So here we are on the decred.org website. And it's a fantastic website. There's so much information here if you want to delve in and learn more about the actual project. But what we're going to focus in on today is this menu, and then we're going to go to the Start menu, and then go to the Block Explorer, just like we did in the last session. So this is the Block Explorer, and once again, if you want to see how a block is being built and the transactions that are going into it and how the actual blockchain is running, this is where you'll find that. But what we're going to do is we're going to go into this area here, and Decred gives you lots and lots of information that you can kind of look for yourself and see if you agree. So the information that we're going to look at today is this one here that says charts. There is a wealth of information here, so I'm just going to try and go through each of the different topics just so you can see how they all work. So the first one we're looking at is the ticket price. This is the ticket price from the very first block all the way to the current block. If you just want to look at a date range, you can come down to the bottom here and you can actually zoom in to a particular date range. The good thing about this little scroll bar is if you change the charts, if you went to the ticket pool size chart, it would actually maintain that date range. So it's really good that you can analyze different pieces of information. So as you think, oh, this was happening at this particular time, how did that affect this particular information? You can actually do that really, really simply here. So let's go back to the ticket price. Now, one thing you're going to notice here is there's these wild fluctuations at the beginning. Now, whenever you see a wild fluctuation, you are quite right in your own mind to question that and to say to yourself, well, that doesn't look right. Why is it going crazy? What you generally want to see, if something's healthy, what you generally want to see are these gentle inclines or declines. You generally don't want to see it going wildly up or down. It tends to mean that something's not working. So the thing that wasn't working here is the ticket price. What you're having is people gaming the system where they would not buy any tickets when the price went really high. So in the next block, the ticket price would come right down, and then everyone would buy loads of tickets, and you'd have this kind of cycle where the price went up, down wildly. And you're seeing that right here. And if you zoom into it, you can actually kind of see where the price would come down, people would buy, and in the very next block, it would shoot back up, so no one would buy. So what was proposed, and there was a governance proposal for this, is that the algorithm for how ticket prices were evaluated would change, and a new algorithm would put in that allowed it to grow gently no matter how many tickets were born, and it would look at the sentiment. So once that passed, it then got implemented onto the Decred chain, and from that point onwards, when my mouse is now in July 2017, you can see we started to get this gentle incline. And it's really interesting because you can see the sentiment for buying tickets is actually quite high, or it's actually in a good rate, if you like, and it's continuously going up. Currently, it's one of the biggest things you can do on the Decred chain. If you want to earn money by voting on the system, you can do that by staking your ticket, buying tickets, staking them, and then you earn a reward. So it's like the biggest thing you can do at the moment. As you can see, lots of people are partaking in that. So there's the first one. The next one is the ticket pool size. Now the ticket pool size is the number of tickets that are being bought at any one time. To maintain a healthy blockchain and a healthy pool size, Decred wants 41,000 tickets in circulation at any one time. Now, as you can see, before the algorithm got put in, it was fluctuating up to 45,000 tickets, which obviously means there's something not quite right. It needs to stay as close to this line as possible. So from the time the algorithm got changed, you can now see that it's actually sticking at this 41,000. So we're not having too many tickets in circulation or too fewer tickets. We're always getting the right amount. And as you can see, it's working really nicely. If you wanted to hone into that particular area, you could. And you could see what's the fluctuation. So you can see, right, on average, the fluctuation goes from 41.5 thousand tickets down to just over 40,000 tickets. And that tends to be kind of a natural timeline at the moment, which is good. Now, if we go back in here, we can go on to the next one. So the next one here is the ticket pool value, and it tells you how many tickets are being used at any one time to buy tickets. So as you can see, as the chain has grown, so has the number of tickets in circulation, and we're currently at this point here, which is just below 6 million Decred are being staked into tickets. So Decred currently has 12 million coins, or just below 12 million coins in circulation. So half of the supply is being used for tickets. So as you can see, the sentiment for buying tickets and voting is really high. So let's move on to the next one, staked participation. Now this is just another way of looking at that. So you can see, although you can see in this chart how many Decred are actually being used, so we're currently just below 6 million. What you see here is what's the percentage along with the supply. So as you can see, in the early days you had like 5% of the supply being used to stake, then it went up to 30, and then from this point here you have this natural kind of curve which says 45% of the Decred circulation is being used, and it's kind of maintained around that 45 to 50% for quite a long time, and we're currently hovering over this 50% of the supply. I don't think it would be unusual if it went down to sort of 45%. I think if you start seeing too many, if it starts going up to 60, 70%, I would kind of question that as well. I don't think that would be great for the system otherwise, because eventually you're going to need to have more use cases than just staking this tickets. You know, you are going to have use cases for actually using this stuff and whatnot. So I see 40 to 50% being completely okay and working okay. So moving on to block size. So if you know anything about block size and the block size debate, the Bitcoin block size is currently 1 meg, and there was this big debate over if they should make the block size bigger. So as you can see from our one, we've got these. We're looking at the day chart here, so the day bin. But if we go into a particular area, you can actually see how big a block is. Now on the Decred chain, the maximum size a block can be is 400 kilobits, which is just short of half a meg, and we produce a block every 5 minutes. On the Bitcoin blockchain, they produce a block every 10 minutes, and it's 1 meg. So over the course of 10 minutes, we produce something around 800 kilobits, which is just short of a meg. So if we go to the block size, you can actually see how big each and every block is, just to see if it's healthy. And you really don't want to see too many blocks being filled up. So currently this is our 400 kilobits, and more often than not over this time period it's actually a lot less, and on average you're really looking below 100 kilobits per block. The thing with block size, of course, if you start getting too many blocks that are filled, it becomes harder for you to get your transaction through. And if it becomes hard to get your transaction through, what you'll start to see is the fees go up. And that's what's happening on a lot of these other chains, especially Bitcoin, where all of the blocks are pretty much full. The mempool that holds all of the transactions is taking a long time to clear those transactions. So in order to get your transaction through faster, you are having to pay higher fees, and we really don't want to be that. If we want to be better than the old banking system, we really need these low fees. Now currently you can transact on the Decred blockchain for a fraction of a penny, and you will have no problem getting your transaction through, as you can see here. So let's go back to the day size, And once again, you would want to check this information to make sure there's no wild kind of fluctuations. This one here basically says across the course of this particular day, we basically maxed out all the blocks. And if you saw too many of these, you would kind of start thinking to yourself, okay, we're getting full blocks now, there might be an issue down the road. But as you can see, that was just one day, and after that, we're pretty much down in this half the value of this, which means the blocks are not too full. Also, I would worry if it was in this area as well, because it means that there's not enough transactions and things are not working right there. But we're seeing this gentle growth happening, which, to me is absolutely fine. So on to the next one, the actual blockchain size. Now, we've been running for about just over 4 years, and we are, from the start all the way to now, the actual size, if you were to download the whole blockchain and every single block, it would be 4.5 gigabytes, which is fairly okay. So by the time we get to 10 years, which is where, or Bitcoin's about 12 years now, but by the time we get to 10 to 12 years, you're looking at about 10 gigabytes, maybe 20 gigabytes, depending on how much participation we get. But currently it's really small. At this particular moment, the Bitcoin blockchain is something like a terabyte, if not bigger. So that's 1,000 gig if you weren't knowing that. But so as you can see, it's quite a manageable blockchain, nothing too hefty. It does mean that you can run a node fairly simply, fairly cost effectively. So let's move on to the next one, the transaction count. So this one here tells you how many transactions go into an individual block. So currently, I think Bitcoin is doing something like 400,000, and currently, on average, by the looks of it, per day, we're doing about 5,000 transactions per day, which actual fact is not too bad. And if you look at this region here, we've actually come down slightly, but we've kind of hovered around this 5,000 transactions per day for quite some time. Now, if you wanted to see what's inside of these, and you want to see how many transactions you could get inside of each block, you could come in and then change it from the day bin to the blocks, and you go and look at the individual blocks, and you can see on average we're getting approximately 40 transactions per block, which is not a massive amount, of course, but it's okay. It works for us, but it does mean that there's room to grow, and it does mean that those fees are going to be really, really low. So let's go back to the day bin and let's keep moving through it. And I know I'm giving you some information about this, but you can obviously make up your own mind. And once you learn more about blockchains, you can come back into this data and then kind of reflect against the information you're learning. So let's move on to the next one, the proof of work difficulty. Now, during this period here, you'll see it ramps up really quickly, and generally that does tend to be a bad thing. In this particular case, it's ramping up really quickly because new ASIC miners for the Decred blockchain were developed and they started to come online. Now, during this time we had the peaks, loads of miners were being turned on, and then it sort of comes down, it tapers off, and now you can see we're starting to get a few more. It's fairly healthy. We've actually got quite a healthy kind of system in terms of the security of the proof of mining. So, and that's generally because of the ASIC minings that got turned on, and our hash rate went up massively because of that. So moving on to the next one, circulating supply. Now, unlike Bitcoin, we don't have halvings. So the actual circulating supply is just gradually going up, and you'll notice that it will start to curve off, and there will only be 21 million coins, just like Bitcoin, but there will be no halvings. Every sort of, I forget what it is, every 30 days or something, I can't remember exactly, the circulating supply goes down or gets decreased by 3% or something like that. So currently we've got just short of 12 million coins in circulation, and by January 2021 we're going to have 12.5 million coins in circulation, all the way up until we get to 21 million coins. The next one is the fees. Now, this is the one you're probably going to want to pay attention to. If you're on the Bitcoin blockchain, you would want to come into the fees, and you would want to see how much it's going to cost you to transact. Now, I can see how much the fees will be per day, and I can also see how much they'll be per block. Now, this is how much your actual fees will be is a little bit harder to work out, but you can kind of you divide them by 40 at the minute to see how much it would be. So this is the day, and this is the current blocks we're looking at here. So let's go into the blocks themselves, and you can see the average block, or the high blocks, are 0.0005. So I mean, that's an absolute tiny fraction of a penny. If you imagine, we're currently at £12 per Decred, so you're not even talking a penny. It's a fraction of a penny for a whole block. So if you put all of your, if you filled a whole block with 40, 50 transactions, that's how much it would be. It'd be a fraction of a penny. And remember, each transaction can have thousands of Decred in it. So that's really good. That's what you would want to see. I don't see any reason why you should be paying any more than a fraction of a penny to transact. Ultimately we're trying to be better than what happened before, not worse. But there will be some fees. You're never going to get away from that. But a fraction of a penny is exactly where you want it to be. So as you can see, the actual fees here are low, and you should definitely compare this. If you're looking at Ethereum, or if you're looking at Bitcoin or any of the others, you should definitely go into their fee calculations and see how much they would charge you. And I can tell you this for nothing, a lot of the other blockchains make this data really hard to find. If you can find how much it's going to cost you on the Bitcoin blockchain, leave a comment below. It'd be great to hear from you. So let's go back to the day block. One thing I should say about this also is, if you've got a slow computer like what mine is, if you leave it on the blocks and you go to the full range of all the coins, it does tend to crash my computer, so be very aware of that. So I always have to change it back here. Now the next one, so we're getting towards the end of it, but you can come in, you can look at this data. I just want to show you what's there so you can make up your own mind. So next one we're looking at is privacy participation. Now, privacy on the Decred blockchain only got turned on relatively recently, so it got turned on around September 2019, and since then it's gradually gone up, and we're getting lots of people mixing their coins and increasing the privacy on the chain, which is absolutely brilliant. And currently we've got roughly 100,000 Decred per day being mixed. It's absolutely great, and the protocol for mixing on Decred chain is brilliant. It's linked in with the tickets, which it's phenomenal, and it's read up on it. It's fantastic. So there we go. There's privacy. The next one is duration between blocks. This is quite an important one. When you're looking at duration between blocks, so say for instance a blockchain tells you that they need to produce a block every 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So in Decred's case, it's every 300 seconds, which is 5 minutes. You really want to see that that's happening. If it's fluctuating all over the place, it tends to mean that the difficulty algorithm isn't working. And if that doesn't work, that means the security doesn't work. So if you was to see too many of these things here, where it goes up to almost 10 minutes, you would think to yourself, look, something's not right there. It's not such a bad thing to fluctuate in and out, between a minute or a minute. So we've got a fluctuation here between 250 seconds all the way up to 350 seconds. So what you'll find is that each block will correct itself, and as long as it's maintaining this range, you're going to be fairly healthy and you're going to get a secure system. But if it started to fluctuate out, then you'd have things to worry about. Ultimately, that's okay. And remember, every blockchain will produce blocks at different times. So the Decred chain does produce blocks every 300 seconds roughly, and the Bitcoin blockchain produces them every 600 seconds or 10 minutes roughly, but that will fluctuate. So the total work, so this is how much proof of work mining has gone into the whole system so far, and as you can see, we've got something like 22 million exahashes, which is huge. But once again, there's no abnormalities here, although it is quite a steep curve. It's gradually, obviously you'd want to see it this way. You wouldn't want to see it go vertical. That'd be crazy, because at some point it would have to come off. You want to see gentle slopes really, but that's okay. It's working. The hash rate will be a similar story. So the amount of hash rate, once the ASICs got turned on, you can see it rapidly went up, and now we're kind of teetering off, which is absolutely brilliant. And then finally, the missed votes. So the missed votes, you wouldn't want to see too many missed votes either. I believe this is to do with you not getting your rewards. I might have to look into that a bit further, but ultimately it should be something like 0.01% of missed votes or something like that. Anyway, I hope that was useful. I hope you found out loads of information from that. Like I say, the Decred blockchain is a wealth of information, and they really have spent a lot of money from the Treasury to actually make all this data available to people that want to invest in the system. There is no reason why you shouldn't look at the system first before you even part with any of your money to make sure you agree that it's healthy. And if you don't agree with the information there, don't forget, because this is an open system, you can actually run your own node and you can actually generate this information from all the blocks that have been generated in the past. It's completely open, it's completely transparent, and that's the great thing about blockchain technology. Now, if you like this content, if you have any questions, if you want to learn more, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, give us a comment below. All of those things are great to promote the channel. And if you're feeling particularly generous, you can donate to the Decred address here, which is always great to get small donations. Other than that, I'll see you next time.
I don't know a lot about the Decred.
Kidding about credit flooding the system with money.
Yes, exactly.
And there's no end to your ability to do that.
We will do whatever we need to do to make sure that there's enough cash in the bank.
I wish I was more educated on Decred. Decred is bullish on Decred.